Hey, this is Mr. Ward, and I'm going to do one more video for the Quadratics 3. Let me move this a little over here so it's out of the way. So this is going to be an area optimization instead of a price optimization. So what we have is we have an alpaca ranch. So we need to create a corral for our alpacas. 800 feet of fencing, we have that. And the previous alpaca ranchers had already set up a single 1,000-foot fence. Now, one thing you should put out of your mind is we're not going to be using 1,000 feet as one of the sides of our rectangle because we only have 800 feet to work with. However, the 1,000 feet will cover one of the sides. So we only need 3 sides for our rectangle. Now, here's the deal. We only have 800 feet to work with. So we're going to be doing, of course, length times width. So area of a rectangle equals length times width. And what we need to come up with is an equation that has a product of length times width. So let's start off with things we know. We know that 2 of the sides are going to be equal to each other. And then there's going to be a third side that may or may not be. We don't know if it's equal, but we could say 2 of the sides are just x, okay? So let's call one of the sides, so the 2 sides that are equal, we'll make them x. Now the other side is going to be 800 feet minus those 2 sides that we just used. So it's going to be 800 minus the 2 sides that were each size x. So it's going to be minus 2x. Okay, and what we want to do is figure out what would be the best x value for those 2 sides. And of course, that'll give us our other side. So we've got 2 sides that are size x. So we'll say 2 sides equal x and 1 side equals 800 minus 2x. That's the one opposite the 1,000-foot fence. Okay, so that's what that is. So we've got an equation. I'm going to call this function a in terms of length x, okay? So let's go ahead and start graphing this. Now, we're not going to be terribly interested in when x is 0 because that means that one of our sides is 0 feet and we've squashed our alpacas, and that's just not very nice. So I'm going to change my graph a little bit. I'm going to make it, let's see, I'm going to keep the x-axis. We'll make the x-axis, actually, let me go and see where the other side of the x-axis is. Probably way out there. I bet there it is. It's at 400. Okay. By the way, if we make one of the x side 400, then the 800 minus 2x side is going to be 0. And these are the 2 points where we crush our alpacas. And don't do that. That's just not very nice to do. Criminal action might take place, and criminal courts might be involved. So we're going to say, okay, let's say minus 50. That's a lot of minuses, minus 50. And over here, we'll say 450. So those are our right and left sides, our x-intercepts. Now, let's go ahead and make this negative 100 and make this, let's make this 900 and see how that goes. All right, I think it needs to be higher. 1,200. Maybe it needs to be higher than that. 1,600. Okay, I think we need to go even higher. All right, I made it 10,000. That's not enough. Let's make it 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. Let's just keep going until I get something that works. 80,000. Let's go with 90,000. So 90,000 gives me something that works. And now I've got my whole graph on my screen. I'll zoom out just a hair. And so now I know my 2 squash the alpaca links. But right here, this is the largest area I can get. I can get an area of 80,000 square feet if I make my fence 200 feet long. So let's go ahead and work out, that's going to be, X will be 200, and that's the two sides are the same. But this is what we need to do a little calculation with. Okay, we need to replace X with 200. So when we do that, I get my other side being 400. So my fence is going to be, so let me go ahead and put in the answer here. So my fence is going to be 200 by 400 feet. And the 400-foot part is opposite the fence the previous ranchers left behind. Okay, so once again, just to recap, X, I knew two sides would be opposite each other. Then I have a third side that was opposite the 1,000-foot fence. I knew I had 800 feet to work with. So let's start off, we knew we could just say X for the unknown two sides. Each of them would be X. And that would use up 2X of the fence. I don't know what 2X is going to be. It turns out that X was 200, so 2X will be 400. And then the other one, the side that is opposite the fence that the previous ranchers left behind, is going to be 800 feet of fencing minus whatever I used for the other two pieces, so minus 2X. And so this is, width times length, or length times width, gets me the area of my rectangle. That allows me, that product of two linear equations, a really simple one and a slightly more complicated one, gets me the optimal area. Okay, so that will give me the optimal area. X will be 2. If I make the two matching sides 200 feet, and then the other one is 400 feet, so I make a 200 by 400 foot enclosure, I'll have 80,000 square feet. I hope I only have a few alpacas, because that's not a whole lot of space for alpacas. But there you go. Maybe they're miniature alpacas. Maybe they're this tall. All right, I hope that was helpful.